If you would have asked me like a year ago or 6 months ago if I ever planned on coming back to this channel, I probably would have said some variation of no, with the caveat that like I'm a Gemini and I change my mind a lot, so like who knows. True to form, I changed my mind. I don't want to go into too much detail about why I left this channel so abruptly, because I feel like I have talked about it a lot on my Patreon. I have so many videos and podcast episodes about like why I chose to leave, things having to do with safety, things having to do with just like the nature of influencing and the nature of being online. And so if you're interested in any of that, like I will leave links down below, but I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about that in this video because I don't really know if it's that important anymore. Like I don't know if it's that pertinent. What I want to talk about now is like where my mind is at in terms of the content that I used to make on this channel surrounding femininity, and how I kind of want to and intend to move forward making content, because I've had a year off. I think it hasn't been a year. I think it's been over a year, yeah, from this channel. And I've had a lot of time to reflect and just think about my own ideas around femininity and womanhood and all the things we used to talk about on this channel. And I have some ideas and some viewpoints that I think differ from the things that I used to say. And so I really want to chat about that with you guys. But yeah, let's chat. Let's chat. When I first started this channel, first off, let me reintroduce myself. I feel like I have to do that. Hi, my name is Felicia. This channel is called The Feminine Fancy. I made it in 2019 when I was 25 years old. I love to talk about topics surrounding womanhood and all things womanhood, like the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the gritty. I feel like I have changed and evolved so much from who I was when I first started this channel that I think I needed the year to kind of reevaluate, like, what is the game plan here? And I had to really sit with myself and sit with just like my own belief system, and I'm really, really glad that I did. So I know I apologize. I also want to apologize. I apologize for doing it so abruptly. I apologize for not being super, I think, elegant maybe with how I felt like I had to go, but at the time it felt necessary to do it that way. So when I started this channel in 2019, my life looked very different to the way that it looks like the way that it looks right now. And obviously like that's kind of how it goes on social media, right? Like when you document yourself over years, things change, people move, or they switch, they start relationships, or they end relationships, or you know, they start a job, they leave a job. Like if you're documenting yourself on camera and like sharing bits and pieces of your life, that means that like things are gonna look different as time goes on. And so when I started this channel in 2019, I mean, talk about the world looking different, right? Like it was pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. I was still in my 20s. I wasn't married. I wasn't engaged. I was living at home with my parents. Like things were really different than they are right now. And I think that like as time went on, I felt more and more disconnected with what I was saying, because I just felt so far removed from the girl who started the channel, if that makes sense. In 2019, when I started making the content around femininity, it was really, really popular. Also, we're gonna be having some candid conversations about like YouTube influencing content creation, making money from content creation, and things of that nature. And so if you don't like those conversations, because I know some people don't, maybe this isn't the video for you. At that time, content around femininity was super, super popular, and I've talked about this before, but it was super popular, and a lot of women were jumping on the bandwagon, making content, and for some reason my content really blew up at that time. These ideas around femininity became really a part of the zeitgeist at the time, because we were also going through this interesting period in society where I think everyone was at home because of the pandemic. So like going from late 2019 into 2020, everyone was at home, everyone was baking bread, people were really romanticizing other people's lives. I think that's when, you know, people like Ballerina Farm got really popular, because everyone was looking like, wow, it would be so nice to like live on some freaking like 500-acre farm and like bake bread all day, every day. Like we were all just like consuming content and looking into like getting bits and pieces of other people's lives at the time. And for whatever reason, it all kind of like melded together in this femininity content. And next thing you knew, there was like femininity videos, masculinity, hypergamy, level up, like it was all in the same arena. And all of a sudden these these ideologies became so common to talk about online. And at the time, I really was sharing what I believed to be true. And a lot of the things I still stand by. I still stand by having identity capital. The Defining Decade is still an amazing book. But I think that as time went on, the whole femininity sphere started to feel like very superficial to me. And I didn't know what to do because I had built this platform and job off of talking about femininity and talking about, you know, looking your best, leveling up, all these things that were super superficial, like very superficial. But like inside, I wanted to do something else. Like I was like stirring on the inside. Like I want to either talk about something else or I want to do something else. I want to like either like actively be doing these things or I want to be having more in-depth conversations. Like I was not resonating, I was not aligning with the content that I was putting out at the time at all. And honestly, I feel like you guys could feel it too. I was kind of like out of ideas. I had nothing more to say really on the topic of femininity. Like there really was nothing more to say at the time. I had made all the videos, I had chatted about all the topics. There's only so many different ways that you can glow up. So there I was, I felt super misaligned. You guys weren't resonating with the content. I wasn't really into the femininity stuff as much anymore, and then on top of that were like all the other issues that I've talked about on Patreon with like safety and boundaries and you know, me just like generally not being like really good at being a semi-public figure. So I was in a tricky spot. So I decided to take some time and think about how, if at all, I want to show up online. How, if at all, I want to be a person who creates content. And let me just tell you something, taking a year off and like being anonymous for the last year and a half or however long it's been has been amazing. Like it's great. I love it. I love being anonymous. Like that's one thing I learned actually. One thing I learned about myself, I love being anonymous. I don't actually love having a super recognizable face or knowing that people recognize me and I don't know them. Like that's not for me. So that made me realize that like I actually really never wanted to be famous. I really never wanted all that attention because it just like stresses me out, to be completely honest with you. Basically in my year of anonymity, I had the time to reflect and to think about the topics that we were talking about and the things that I was bringing to this channel, and I just didn't like it. But at the same time, I'm super grateful for that version of me who like got on camera with her like busted lace front and all to talk to you guys about this topic of femininity, and particularly femininity as it related to me as a Black woman and Black girl who grew up in predominantly white spaces, and how that impacted my life, because I think that that was a super important conversation to have. And that was also pre-TikTok, and so a lot of people were not talking about this at that time. So I'm like thankful to my past self for doing that. But now that I'm older, now I'm like 31, I'm married, like my life looks different, I'm different. What I want to do and what I would like to do on this channel, if you'll have me back, is to talk more deeply about topics related to womanhood instead of femininity. And maybe we'll talk about this further in a future video, but I think that when everyone was talking about femininity, I feel like we were kind of using the words femininity and womanhood interchangeably, and they're not actually interchangeable. Femininity is a performance, right? The fact that I just spent an hour getting ready, putting on my face and like putting on makeup and adding hair extensions to my hair and putting on this like feminine outfit with like a skirt and everything, like that is a performance of femininity. That's something that like you choose, that's something you decide. Womanhood is something that like just happens. It's an experience. And I think that like we were using the word femininity in place of the word womanhood a little bit, when really like looking back, I kind of view femininity as like a little bit of a, like that's like the tip of the iceberg of the womanhood experience, right? Like that's kind of small potatoes compared to all the other things that we go through as women, emotionally, physically, hormonally, spiritually. Like there's so much richness and depth to the experience of womanhood, and I feel like we weren't even like scratching the surface with like focusing in on femininity. A few other things I want to mention about femininity and like where I was at with it, or where I am at with it. I said on my platforms before that one of the things that I really dislike about social media is that if you're doing commentary content, right? So if you're not doing like day in my life vlogs or content on you know, critiquing movies or TV shows or whatever, if you're doing commentary content that's like in the like self-help advice realm, that means you have to set yourself up, like you have to position yourself as an expert in that field. And I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but like, I'm not an expert. I am not a self-help expert, you guys. I am not a femininity expert or a womanhood expert. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. And I think it's like really very kind of like very dangerous actually that so many people have set themselves up in this like to be in this position of expert. And so then we're all taking in all of this information and content from these people who like, they don't really have any qualifications, and I was doing it too, like, because that's how you gain the following, like that's how you get the attention and the traction, is by stating something confidently and stating it as fact. When the truth is, there's a lot of nuance to life. There's a lot of gray area, and there's a lot of nuance to what femininity is and what feminine is and what it means and what, you know, even in terms of like dating and relationships, people say so many generalizations about like, oh, a man's not gonna marry you if you don't X, Y, and Z, or he's not gonna, you know, ask you out if you don't dress like this, and here's the perfume you need, and here's the this you need, and it's just like so much noise. Like, it's so much noise, and it's honestly so superficial. What I want to bring to the channel now is more of a conversation, is more of like a collective discussion about womanhood and about the things that we experience on a spiritual, physical, emotional, and hormonal level. For those of you who read my blog post that I put up a few weeks ago or months ago, I don't even know now at this point, leaving like soft girl, I don't know what I called it, like leaving soft girl femininity for something deeper or whatever, like that's the place that I'm in right now. I don't know about you guys, and don't get me wrong, I still love the idea of being soft. I still love the idea of like, you know, cooking, baking, homemaking. That's what my second channel is for, by the way. But there's only so many times someone can say to you, like, soften your voice when you talk to a man, or like, I don't know, swish your hips when you walk to feel more feminine. Like, there's only so many times, like, there's only so much stuff. How many more things do we have to do to be feminine? Like, womanhood, however, is like what we experience. I feel like there's femininity kind of like up here. It's like a little like a little slice of the pie, and then there's so much more to the experience of being a woman. And like, that's the meat and potatoes. That's what I want to get into. And I want it to be a discussion. I want it to be a conversation. I don't want to come on here and tell you 10 ways to like whatever. Like, that's not my role anymore here. I want this to be collaborative, because the experience of womanhood is so much stronger when women are like sharing their life experiences together. And I think a really good example of that from my previous era is the conversation that we started about female friendships. I feel like that also opened up so many doors to so many people talking about female friendships and like why they're so difficult, and talking about their experiences. Like, that's what we want. That's what we're going for now. This time around on this channel, I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper. This channel is no longer about surface level femininity. It's about wisdom and growth and rediscovering what it means to be a woman and how powerful and special that is. I spent a lot of time trying to show up perfectly on this channel, and I said a lot that I feel like I have two very strong versions of myself. Like, I know probably a lot of you don't believe in astrology, and that's fine. But like, when it comes to Gemini being like the twins and like kind of split personality, that is me to a T. Like, I very strongly feel very like posh and like prim and proper half the time, and like very traditional half the time. And then I feel very like whimsical and like sensual and like free-spirited the other half of the time. Like, it, and I feel like I didn't really get to bring that to this channel because I was so worried about like how it would be perceived. But the truth is that like, that's my experience as a woman. So now what I'm doing is I'm allowing my Susie homemaker side to thrive on my second channel, Marigold Manor, which I will link down below. And then I want to allow my sort of nature girl, like no shoes, running through the forest side of me to thrive on this channel. I think that, you know, there's so many different versions of womanhood, and they're all so beautiful, and they're all so fun and yummy, and just like, I don't know, they're all so great. Like, why limit ourselves to just being one type of way? And I think that's another reason why the femininity content was like not surviving, is because womanhood is so multifaceted. Like, there's so many different types of women and different personalities and different interpretations of like what it means to be woman and what femininity means to them. And I just think that we got into this really dangerous place of saying like, oh, well, this is what womanhood is and this is what femininity is, and if you don't fall into that, then like, good luck. That's not what I want to do. That's not who I am. I'm so much more woman now, I think, than I was at the beginning of this channel in 2019, when I still felt very maiden. I still felt like very young, and that transition from maiden to Mrs., which I've also talked about on my blog, is another thing that I want to explore here, just exploring the different transitions and phases of womanhood, because I think that they're all beautiful, and I think that we were really only just scratching the surface with femininity and superficial layers of femininity. So I say all that to say that if you are interested in this new era, in this new wave, then I would love to have you stay along for the ride. I would love to cultivate conversations on here that we can all have together. And I would love to come to you humbly, not as a teacher, but as a peer. That's it from me. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your patience. I feel like that is the understatement of the century. And I hope that you are like excited to go on this journey with me and to have deeper, more meaningful discussions. Look how bright it is. Look at this. This is the problem with living someplace where it's like constantly cloudy. It's like, it's cloudy, it's sunny, it's cloudy, it's sunny. Doesn't know what I want. You can find me on Instagram at _thefemininefancy_. You can find me on my second channel for more traditional femininity stuff and traditional homemaking and baking and cooking and hosting and all of that on my second channel, Marigold Manor, which I will link down below for you as well. Sign up for the newsletter on my blog, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!